I hold in my hands a book that opens the stories of the world. But tonight, I want to show you a different book. A book that nobody in over 600 years of trying has been able to open. A book written in a language that may not be a language, illustrated with plants that may not exist, filled with text that has defeated the greatest codebreakers in history, the most sophisticated computer analysis yet attempted, and the collective intelligence of everyone who has stared at it across 6 centuries. It has a name, the Voynich Manuscript, and it is, without question, one of the greatest unsolved puzzles in human history. Tonight, we begin to understand what we know and how terrifyingly little that is. The Voynich Manuscript takes its name from Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish-American antiquarian book dealer who purchased it from the Villa Mondragona, a Jesuit college near Frascati, Italy, in 1912. He purchased a collection of medieval manuscripts, and this was among them. He recognized immediately that he had found something unusual. The manuscript was handwritten, approximately 240 pages long, on vellum, cured animal skin, and written entirely in an unrecognized script, illustrated throughout with hundreds of drawings. He spent years attempting to decode or identify it. He could not. After Voynich's death, the manuscript passed through several hands and was eventually donated to Yale University's Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library in 1969, where it remains today under catalog number MS408. The Beinecke has digitized it in its entirety and made it freely available online, which means that you, right now, can look at every page of this unreadable book. In 2011, radiocarbon dating of the vellum, the parchment on which the manuscript is written, dated the material to between 1404 and 1438 AD. The ink is consistent with this date range. This was an important result. It eliminated the most colorful theory about the manuscript's origin, which was that it was a modern forgery. The Voynich manuscript is genuinely a late medieval or early Renaissance document.
Let us describe what it actually contains. The writing fills nearly every page in a consistent, confident hand. The script, which researchers have named Voynichese, consists of approximately 20 to 30 distinct characters, depending on how you count variant forms. The characters are written left to right. There are no obvious punctuation marks. The lines of text are separated by consistent spacing. The handwriting is uniform and practiced. This is not someone learning to write as they go. The person who wrote this was entirely comfortable with the script. This point deserves emphasis. The Voynich manuscript was not written by someone inventing a script as they went, struggling to form the characters. The writing is fluid and consistent across the entire document. Someone knew this script. Someone was used to writing it. Whether they invented it, learned it, or inherited it, the hand is that of someone for whom these characters were natural, which means the script was used regularly, somewhere, by someone. The mystery is not that a strange script exists. The mystery is that this is the only surviving document written in it. The illustrations divide the manuscript into sections with distinct visual identities. The botanical section, the largest, contains drawings of plants, roots, flowers, and stems in careful detail. The drawings are clearly made by someone who was accustomed to botanical illustration. The rendering of roots, the articulation of leaves, the structure of flowers all show the hand of a practiced illustrator. But the plants themselves do not correspond to any known species. They are not stylized versions of real plants. They are not damaged beyond recognition. They are simply plants that do not exist in nature. Some researchers have suggested they might be pharmaceutical plants, mixtures of multiple species' properties into a single illustrative figure. Some have suggested they are purely invented.
The astronomical section contains circular diagrams, large central disks surrounded by radiating lines and small star-like symbols. Human figures appear on the edges of some diagrams, often naked, sometimes holding objects. The diagrams resemble medieval astronomical or astrological charts, but they do not match any known astronomical tradition. The biological section is the most visually arresting. Pools or baths of green or blue liquid, connected by elaborate networks of tubes and pipes, with small human figures, predominantly female, submerged in or emerging from the pools. The tubes connect the pools in patterns that could represent hydraulic anatomy, pharmaceutical distillation, or something else entirely. The recipes section consists of dense text with small illustrations of stars in the margins, almost no larger drawings. These pages, with their systematic organization, most strongly suggest actual instructions of some kind.
Before we get to the various theories about what the Voynich Manuscript is, we need to understand what statistical analysis has revealed about its text, because it is the statistical properties that make the manuscript so peculiarly difficult to dismiss as simple nonsense. In the 1970s, researcher John Tiltman and his colleagues at the NSA analyzed the manuscript's statistical properties and found something unexpected. Voynichese follows Zipf's law. Zipf's law is an empirical relationship observed in virtually all natural human languages. The frequency of a word is inversely proportional to its rank in the frequency table. The most common word appears roughly twice as often as the second most common word, 3 times as often as the third, and so on. This produces a distinctive mathematical signature that distinguishes natural languages from random text, from simple ciphers, and from most constructed languages. Voynichese follows this law, not approximately, but closely.
Further statistical analysis has revealed word length distribution is consistent with natural language. Word entropy, the information content per character, is in the range of natural languages. There is long-range correlation between words. Certain words tend to appear near other specific words, consistent with syntactic structure. There is evidence of text organized into structural units, consistent with paragraphs and possibly chapters. What all of this statistical analysis tells us is that Voynichese behaves like a language, not proves, tells us. A sophisticated hoaxer with knowledge of linguistics could, in theory, construct a text with these properties without any underlying meaning, but the baseline probability shifts. If you were generating random characters, or a simple monoalphabetic substitution cipher, or most types of deliberate nonsense, you would not naturally produce text with all of these properties simultaneously. The statistics are consistent with Voynichese being a natural language or a sophisticated encrypted natural language.
One peculiar statistical property stands out. Voynichese has an unusually low vocabulary diversity compared to most European languages. The same words repeat more frequently than expected. This has led some researchers to suggest the text may encode something with a constrained vocabulary, a highly technical document perhaps, or a text in a language with different morphological properties than European languages. Another peculiarity? Voynichese appears to have 2 distinct dialects within the manuscript, 2 slightly different statistical profiles in different sections. This could indicate 2 different scribes, 2 different source documents being copied, or encoding of 2 different languages.
The Voynich Manuscript has attracted serious cryptanalysis attention at the highest level. William Friedman was the most accomplished cryptanalyst in American history. He broke the Japanese purple cipher machine before Pearl Harbor, the diplomatic code system that Japan considered unbreakable. He spent much of his career as the senior cryptologist at the U.S. Army Signal Intelligence Service, producing the systems and analyses that gave America its signals intelligence advantage in World War II. He also spent decades of his personal time on the Voynich Manuscript and failed to decode it. After his retirement, Friedman assembled a group of elite cryptanalysts, the First Study Group, to attempt a collaborative attack on the manuscript. They worked for years. They produced no accepted solution.
Friedman's posthumous notes hint at his own theory, that Voynichese might encode a constructed philosophical language of the kind proposed by several 17th century thinkers who wanted to create a universal, unambiguous language for scientific communication. But this theory was never demonstrated with any decoded text. The failure of William Friedman, the man who cracked unbreakable codes as a professional matter, tells us something important. The Voynich Manuscript is not simply a substitution cipher or a transposition cipher or any of the standard cryptographic techniques that Friedman's methods would have revealed. Whatever it is, if it is anything, it is either a more sophisticated encryption than any historical document of its era has been shown to use, or it is something that conventional cryptanalysis is not the right tool for, or it is a text with no underlying meaning that happens to have statistical properties similar to meaningful text. Each of these possibilities is extraordinary in its own way.
The failure of Friedman was followed by the failure of every subsequent serious attempt. A team from the University of Arizona in the 1990s applied computer analysis. Researchers from the University of Bedfordshire in 2004 applied statistical methods developed for analyzing unknown scripts. Teams in 2013 and 2017 applied natural language processing techniques. In 2016, a team from the University of Alberta analyzed the manuscript's word structure using information theoretic methods. None produced a decipherment. All produced interesting statistical insights. The manuscript resisted every systematic attack. And then there is the most unsettling claim of all. In 2004, a British researcher named Gordon Rugg published a paper arguing that the Voynich Manuscript could have been generated using a 16th century tool called the Cardan grill, a card with holes cut in it that could be placed over a table of syllables to generate pseudo-words. Rugg demonstrated that the statistical properties of Voyniches could be reproduced by this method and argued that the manuscript was an elaborate hoax created to sell to a wealthy collector as a mysterious ancient document. If Rugg is correct, the greatest unsolved mystery in cryptography is not a mystery at all. It is a very old prank. The prank theory is not disproven. It is not proven. It exists alongside the other theories, equally unresolved. And there is something deeply, specifically unsettling about the idea that 600 years of effort by thousands of brilliant minds might have been spent trying to decode a book that someone made up in an afternoon. Next Saturday, we follow the manuscript through history. Who owned it, who saw it, and what the chain of custody tells us about where it came from. There is a particular kind of library that contains only things we understand. It is comfortable there, well lit, the books open when you want them to and close when you are done. And then there is that shelf in the corner, in every great library, in every great collection of human knowledge, where the books that refuse to open are kept. The Voynich Manuscript has sat on that shelf for 600 years. Every generation adds to the shelf of attempts to open it. The shelf of attempts grows. The book remains closed. Come back Saturday. The mystery deepens. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell us in the comments if you want something explored by the universe of imagination.